Welcome to 200 Days in an Ocean-Only World. In the last episode, we beat the Ender Dragon, got an Elytra, and then also got a fully enchanted set of netherite armor and tools. Today, I'm gonna continue this insane progress by turning my base into something exquisite. I literally have so many different ideas planned for this episode, and it's something that you do not want to miss. I'm gonna start this video off with an explosion, but just quickly before that, let me catch you up. And so the first thing on my bucket list is going to be to modify our mob farm. However, I soon found out that I was pretty broke. And we're going to need the nether to gather all of the resources for this upcoming project, and more specifically, the forests. Chopping down trees here was literally my only sustainable source of wood, since I am yet to find a single wood sapling in the overworld. Once I stocked up, I was finally able to start building. Apparently not though, because I got attacked by a group of mobs. I wasn't in a fighting mood, so I just flew away. After I got rid of them, I was placing trapdoors on the ceiling of the top floor. This would only allow creepers to spawn. I was going to need a lot of gunpowder for what's upcoming. And would you look at that, my plan clearly worked, and now I can get all the gunpowder that I need. Make sure you watch the rest of the video, as I've got a lot of fun stuff planned. Now that the less efficient mob farm had no use, I could get rid of it. And you know exactly how I'm gonna do this. The skeleton tried to save his home, but to no avail. I placed the TNT around the spawner, and then all that was left to do was light it up and watch the explosion. Alright, that might have been a little bit underwhelming, but no worries, because I have a plan. But before that, I was making the base look a little bit more realistic by adding support beams throughout the base, so that it doesn't look like everything's floating in the air. I greeted the one and only working villager, and I've got to say, he was doing pretty good work. But I was also going to need certain blocks which I did not yet have, so I prepared my trident by enchanting it with pretty decent stuff. And that's right, you guessed it, we're going to be raiding our first ocean monument in this video. I created an entrance spot, and as soon as I went in, I got greeted with mining fatigue. But my fully enchanted netherite armor meant that the guardians weren't too much of an opposition to me at all, especially my OP trident. But anyways, slowly and steadily, I took out the elder guardians one by one. And after doing so, I set out to find sponge rooms. However, after a long time of searching, I realized there was none. So I just gathered different resources. And after a little bit of preparation, I was now ready to start building. First up, it was just me filling in the floor with glass. That was my initial idea. But I very quickly ran out, so I had to go back underwater and gather more sand. Now, you may be wondering, what is the structure actually going to be? What am I going to use it for? And well, I can't really tell you just yet, but everything will start to make sense towards the end of the video. For now, I was trying to get the villagers out of their house to get the sunlight and get some more vitamin D, as well as doing some harvesting to then trade with them. My main priority was to get an Unbreaking 3 book from the librarian. However, the amount of mending books that I was getting was absolutely unreal. When you really want something, you just don't get it. Eventually, I settled on Feather Falling 4 for my shoes, and Unbreaking 3 was still not obtained. I went back to the ocean monument because I ran out of resources already, and seriously, these guardians were actually being the most annoying creatures in Minecraft. I replaced all the torches with lecterns as that looked much more natural, and then I added more support beams to my farm, because you can never really have enough of it. Just look how good that really looks at night. The next bit of time I purely dedicated to obtaining more resources. This would allow me to start making upgrades without really having to worry about not having enough of things, and it was just going to be convenient for later on. When I got to my base, I was greeted to quite a bizarre view. There were fish flopping around the floor because they went up the water elevator. I'm surprised this hasn't happened to me before, but I tried to feed Kiko, but he didn't really like fish. But I went back to doing more simple maintenance work around my base, as well as fixing all of my tools, and then collecting some more sand. But in order to really consider my Minecraft world developed, I needed to have automatic farms. First up on the list was a pumpkin and melon farm, and I really had, I think, a unique idea. I mean, I think so. I mean, I came up with it. But yeah, I was really excited for this project, as this was going to be something that I've never really done before, and I was genuinely just interested if this was going to work in the first place. Alright, so the initial concept of this was very simple and used by every single Minecraft player. It was just a simple farm that I got off of YouTube. Oh wait, but what is that? Is that a wandering trader? Let's check the traits he's got. Of course, it's absolutely nothing useful. But you know how I said that I've already collected all the resources? Well, I haven't. I ran out of cobblestone, so I had to go back and get some more. Alright, so here is the bit that I kind of made up and thought of myself, and basically it's going to be pipes that are going to deliver the melons and the pumpkins underground into like a simple transfer system where all the items are going to get put through into the storage. But talking of storage, I didn't want to have just any storage system, so I wanted to build one underwater. To get rid of the water inside, I could use the 3 sponges that I collected from the dead Elder Guardians at the Ocean Monument. This wasn't very much and I had to go back and forth to my base very often. With that out of the way, I just needed to come up with a way to get the items from the water elevator into the actual chest. So I used kelp and things such as soil to put the items up, and yeah, we were pretty much sorted. All I needed to do is just stand there and watch how the pumpkins and melons kept on flowing in. But instead of just AFKing, I obviously added some support beams onto the farm so that it looks more realistic, and we gathered a decent bit of melons and pumpkins, which I then used to trade with the villagers. After this, I just wanted to fix all of my tools on the mob farm. I couldn't believe my own eyes when I saw another wandering trader in the space of a couple of days. And actually this time it had something useful. A jungle sampling meant that we actually had a wood source in the overworld. Stupid me, I only took 3 of them and then killed them, even though I could have took more. But after I killed them, I felt bad for the llamas, so instead of killing them as well, I put them over to the villagers, and really, as you guys can tell, they are not being very cooperative at all. They were trying to spit saliva at me and stuff, but I was just playing about with them. I was having a lot of fun, just blocking the door and trying not to get hit. After they calmed down, I went onto them, and I was surprised that it didn't die in this glitch over here, and I don't know why I kept on doing it again. Nevertheless, it was now time to start doing an automatic sugarcane farm. Please excuse the pumpkin, that's not supposed to be there. But yeah, we were pretty much finished with the full project. Everything was working and linked up to the storage system. My tools were pretty low, so I repaired them, and after this I went on a pretty chill mining session to stock up on more cobblestone, because I keep on running out of it. When I came back to the storage, I actually saw the results of the AFKing, and I was surprised as to how much pumpkins, melons, and sugarcane we actually had. I used everything to trade with more villagers to up my emerald holdings, but after that I came up with this great idea to actually take Kiko out on a little tour of the base, because I realized that he was inside my house for the entirety of this episode. He definitely got a kick out of that and got a chance to straighten his paws, but after that, he was back there. But don't worry, I'm gonna take you on another walk eventually. I remembered about that jungle sapling that I got from the wandering trader, and I decided that I'm gonna make a little platform where I'm gonna grow all of these trees and then farm them for wood, because I had absolutely nothing left. And this right here is the first ever tree spawned in the overworld. It didn't last very long because I needed more saplings so that I could expand the forest further. Or should I say jungle? And that's exactly what I did. I was spawning more trees and then farming them for wood and then basically repeating the process over and over and over again. Once I got a decent bit of wood, I added a little bit of decoration to the platform so that it doesn't look bland. But after I gathered a decent number of saplings, I was decorating the whole place by basically adding jungle trees all around my base, and that made it look so much more realistic and just gave it like a very nice vibe, and it felt more like I was in a normal world instead of just being surrounded by a plain ocean. On the topic of decorations, my sugarcane farm looked extremely plain, just with white stained glass, so I added some basalt to spice things up a little bit. I feel like a 50-year-old saying spice things up. Who does that? And then quickly just went and decorated my mob farm. This wasn't going to be anything too fancy. The aim was to just make it look bearable. Welcome to Project Seabed. This is probably one of my favorite things that I've done, as it's quite unique and it requires a lot of imagination from me, at least. I collected blocks from a distant coral reef just so that I can transfer them near my base. I wanted to expand the coral reef around my base because it was relatively small and things looked kind of dark, so a coral reef would just make it look a lot lighter and just warm-hearted. Yeah, I definitely wasn't just placing random blocks and hoping that it's gonna look good. No, I would never do that. But the thing is, it worked. We successfully managed to pull this off. And then for the next couple of days, I took up attempt number 2 on trying to get an Unbreaking 3 book. Unfortunately, they didn't want to give me anything. It was literally as if there was a curse on me not to give me any books. Eventually, they gave me it. It was only Unbreaking 2, I combined it to get Unbreaking 3, and I put it onto my elytra so that it doesn't break on me midair. Then I was doing some fishing, because yes, ocean-only world kind of makes sense. But the whole point of fishing was to get Nautilus shells. I really wanted to get a Conduit in my base. Unfortunately, I only managed to get one after like 2 days of fishing, which was not very effective. So I set out on a journey to travel the oceans and the seas to find drowned zombies with Nautilus shells. Little did I know I was in for a treat. I literally had to search for days upon days just to get one of these. That just goes to show you how rare it really is to find. It only has an 8% chance of spawning. You know how drowns with tridents are already rare? Well, they're almost twice as common as drowns with Nautilus shells. Luckily, as time went on, they were getting a little bit more common, so that was kind of nice for me. But after such a long time underwater and just fighting these drowns, I finally managed to get enough shells to build a conduit. I had a Heart of the Sea from one of the chests in the last episode. And this conduit allows me to breathe underwater for an infinite time, see underwater, and many other things. I saw this iron golem dying, so I went to the rescue, but he turned his back on me and he hit me and I nearly kind of died. This could be really close, but don't worry, I sorted him out afterwards. Then I added more villagers to the trading hall, which I have still to finish from the last episode. And after I got the technique right, it went pretty easily. This was a double win, as it was also stopping the overpopulation of these villagers because their life was a bit too good. But yeah, it's good to see a full set of workers at my disposal. My base's rooftop wasn't finished either, so I got to work and I made it look a little bit more encouraging and welcoming. Definitely looked a lot better. And as I was trading with the villagers, a very interesting thing happened. Somehow they managed to breed through the walls, and 2 little villagers popped out and escaped. So yeah, they're going to be floating about the area from now on. And then I went back to the Ocean Monument, another one actually. This was a separate one. to defeat it and then get all of the sponges, because I knew that that was going to be useful in the future because this is an ocean only world and the sponges would be nice. I gathered more resources as well because you can't have more of it, and I did the exact same thing as I did before with the trees, where I planted more around just to improve the density around, and that was looking so much better. This was genuinely looking more like a normal world a little bit more, and that was my aim. And the base in general started looking pretty impressive, at least in my eyes. Then I did a little bit more AFKing because I found it satisfying to get pumpkins and melons. So yeah, now going back to this little floating thing, I finally almost finished it. I filled it up with water and little fishies started spawning, which I've kind of found cool. And I think that now is about time to update the 1.17 update. Alright, all done and set. Now, we're gonna need to fill up water buckets. And you probably know why. And we're gonna need a lot of them. And now I need to travel very far away from my base just to make sure that none of the chunks have been loaded in previously, because then the update wouldn't really apply to them. And as soon as I done that, I was finding axolotls. However, they did require a decent bit of looking. I definitely needed to take advantage of the fact that I can now use Fortune 3 on things such as gold and iron. That made it so easy to get in bulk. I was tempted just to swim past diamonds because I already have a lot of them, but I can't really do that. I completely forgot about the glowing squid. I definitely needed to get as much of that as possible, as we can use that for glowing signs and frames. But aside from that, I was just continuing with searching for axolotls, and surprisingly they were getting harder and harder to find, and it was taking me more and more time. But I was also short to take gold, especially as I didn't really have a lot of it on my base. And I even found an amethyst geode, which I went towards without any hesitation. But when I broke in, I was surprised to see 2 creepers inside. But it's all good because I've got a shield. Yeah, I had a shield. So I took care of the creepers manually, and then I was collecting all of the resources such as amethyst shards, and it was a shame that I couldn't collect the actual blocks that the amethyst grows on. But yeah, I continued getting all the other stuff. I don't really know what it's called, alright? I'm sorry. And I'm surprised that it took me this long to find copper, probably one of the most common ores, and it took me this long. But I got some deep slate as well. This could be used for decoration back in my base, but at this point I could not find any axolotls whatsoever. But I prompted to get some of this dripstone block, as I thought that would be cool as well. But after some deep thought, I was gonna change the tactic. Instead of looking for axolotls, I was now looking for shipwrecks. Why, you might be asking? Well, shipwrecks can contain a moss block, and I could use a moss block to grow trees, and through that I could get oak wood. But as normal, things were not going very well. I was going through many shipwrecks, and I was getting absolutely no luck in the moss block. I was literally about to give up until this one last shipwreck that I decided to explore, and funnily enough, there were 6 moss blocks inside it. That was everything that I needed, so I headed back to my base. I had so many things in my inventory that I needed to take a while to sort them out. But when I bone mealed the moss block on my dirt platform, it was able to spread, and I also got a wheat seed, which I haven't had, so now we can produce unlimited wheat. With that, this is the tree that I was on about. This is going to be our savior for oak wood. And one of the trees with pink leaves I decided to put into my aquarium, which I thought looked decently cool. And then I spent the next bit of time just gathering oak. And after a long wait, it was time to finally place the axolotls in my aquarium and finish off the project. Everything was going great until I realized that the axolotls were getting poisoned, and their population was decreasing dramatically. I realized that the pufferfish were literally killing them, so I had to eliminate the pufferfish from the aquarium once and for all. I needed to repopulate the aquarium, so I got some fish in a bucket and then bred them. I made a telescope just to get a closer insight on the villagers and what they were plotting against me. And I also made lightning rods just so that the villagers don't get struck by lightning. But this is gonna do it for the 200 days. We made a lot of progress in this video, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye.